reindeers even. If they can produce milk, you can make cheese.
All cheeses are made with milk, and they're all made up of a mixture of protein chains held together by calcium ions.
For me, nothing beats a good cheese board. It's the best way of eating cheese. But it does crop up in cookery, and with it come a couple of challenges, but that's what makes cooking fun. We're going to work it out. I'm going to make a cheese fondue, because I don't think anything shows how cheese melts and how you should melt cheese better than a fondue. I mean, that's what it is, melted cheese. But I'm going to change the cheese slightly. Normally you'd find Gruyere or Emmental or something like that. But I'm going to use an Italian cheese. This is called Taleggio. It's a really lovely, rich, creamy cheese. And because it's quite high in fat, actually makes it quite easy to melt. You don't need too much temperature. To kick the fondue off, I'm going to add the wine. And it's a good idea to use as dry a white wine as you can find. Use a wine you drink, that's the first rule. Don't use, you know, the cheapest thing you can find. Once that's boiling, we can start adding the cheese. It really is that simple. Add it bit by bit. Don't throw it all in at once. So we're just going to carefully stir this in a little bit.
As the wine and cheese are heated, the calcium ions holding the protein chains together lose their grip, causing the cheese to melt.
The good thing about wine, the alcohol in the wine will lower the boiling point. So what you're doing, in effect, is allowing the cheese to melt at a slightly lower temperature, which for a full-fat cheese like this is perfect. So a little bit more cheese. In we go. And I stole this dish off a friend of mine, actually. He's got a little restaurant in Soho, a little Italian restaurant. And you go in there, and the first thing they do is plonk down a bowl, a terracotta bowl of fondue, some crostini, some salami, and it's fantastic. In fact, I don't often get to the starters, you know, I'll just fill up on that and go. Right, I'm just working that in. What we're trying to do is just keep the temperature very constant. It's almost a simmer. Not quite, but very nearly. And that's going to prevent that sort of that stringy mass of cheese that you sometimes get in a pan, and where cheese has been overheated and worked too much.
What is also helping at this stage is the acidity of the wine. It's loosening the calcium and protein structure further, giving the fondue a really smooth consistency.
OK, that's taken all that cheese now. It's all melted in. And I've got a sort of a thick double cream consistency, really. And it's taken me about 4 or 5 minutes to get there. You know, it doesn't take long. So when you're going to serve this up, you've got some choices, really. You can either go seriously retro, put your kipper tie and your tank top on. I can't, that's just a bridge too far for me, to be honest. We're going to use a bowl. There we go. Pour it in. Good idea if the bowl's a little bit warm. That'll just keep the temperature as well. You can see the smoothness of that. Look at it, it's absolutely fantastic. Right, pan over there. Stick that on the board. Bung some salami down with it. Crostinis, just going to cut those into pieces. This is sort of communal food, you know. I wouldn't sort of serve up everybody with a little plateful. This is sort of thing that you know, the strongest get the most. There we are. In 5, 6 minutes' time, that's going to be just a little bit too cold. It's going to start gelling up again, and you won't be able to dip into it. Probably not the dish to have on a first date, this. Oh, have it on your second one now. That's brilliant.
Globally, over 17 million tonnes of cheese is produced every year, and there are thousands of varieties.
My favourite cheese is English mild cheddar.
Crumbly texture of a Stilton.
Yeah, I like Italian cheeses. I like to eat my cheese with wine, preferably French.
The Greeks are the largest consumers of cheese, eating on average 27 kilos per person every year, feta being their #1 choice. Whatever the variety, all cheese is made from milk.
I've warmed the milk up, so this milk is just lukewarm. I'll just add a little drop of lactic acid bacteria to start the cheese-making process off. And the cheesemaker's skill is actually controlling that little bacteria. Once we've got the culture to the right acidity, we add the next ingredient, which is rennet. Now, rennet is an enzyme, and this will actually work on the milk and coagulate the milk. So a little bit of rennet to the milk. This is the vegetarian rennet. You used to get it from a calf's stomach, and it will actually set it into what we call a junket, which is like a jelly. And can you see it starts to split? This tells the cheesemaker it's ready to actually cut. This is to turn it into curds and whey so that the actual liquid will be separated from the solids. As we bring the cloth up, ensure that we get it all. And as you can see, the whey's running out. So we just put a little bit of salt on. It acts as a preserver, gives it a little bit of flavour, it drives some moisture out and slows a little bacteria down. So it's doing quite a lot of job, is that salt. And you'll be able to see that the salt is actually driving out some moisture. Pop it into the cheese mould, put it under the press, and there we are, got the basic cheese.